guys, the newly appointed Inec chairman is already in a big trouble. The CV of the newly appointed Inec chairman has been brought under the radar. And guess what? Nigerians have discovered so many infractions. Now, before we get into that, let's take a look at this post that was made on the Twitter space. This person said, based on searches across sources like Premium Times, Punch, Sahara Reporters, and CSO statements, Professor Prof Amupitan, SAN, was indeed part of the legal team defending Tinubu and APC at the 2023 presidential election petition tribunal. So guys, this newly appointed INEC chairman is one of those lawyers who defended Tinubu and APC in the last election, the tribunal that followed the last election. This man was part of the people defending Tinubu, and today he is the INEC chairman. Now, let's even get to the juicy part of this story. Infractions have been discovered in his CV. Now, this post I'm going to read is coming from Rufai Hussaini. I believe he got this information from someone and he posted it. Let me read it out. The CV of the newly appointed INEC chairman has been brought into question, and Nigerians are asking, how did we get here? Now, let me read out what this post is saying. From the beginning, it says, there are a lot of gray areas in this Professor Joash Ojo Amupitan CV as put forward in the State House press release signed by Bayo Ononuga. Let me speak to just a few of them now. Just a few, meaning that many are still lying in the fridge. I mean, so many gray areas. But these are the first few that have been put forward for Nigerians to see. Now, number one says he was born in 1967. There is no problem in that. Number two says, after completing primary and secondary education, he attended Kwara State Polytechnic from 82 to 84. Now note, we are neither told the names of the primary and secondary school he attended, nor the timelines of his attendance. Moreover, by 82, when he was said to have attended the Kwara State Polytechnic, he was just 15 years. There is a question mark to that. He was just 15 years and he was already, in those days, 15 years will even be in primary one. Some 15 years are still in primary school. But as at that time, he was said to have attended Polytechnic in Kwara State. Nigerians are asking, how did he get there? Now, let me read further. It says, how did he do it back then in those days? How did he do it back then? Maybe if we have the details of his primary and secondary school attendance, we will have better understanding. Additionally, what did he study at the Polytechnic? They didn't tell us. They just told us while he was 15, he has already attended the Polytechnic, and they didn't tell us what he studied. Now, number three says he attended University of Jos from 84 to 87 to study law. How did he get a law degree in Nigeria within 3 years? Law is 5 years. Law has always been 5 years. How did he graduate within the space of 3 years? Nigerians, another gray area. Number four, he got his PhD in 2007. But he became the head of Department of Public Law in 2006, from 2006 to 2008, and Dean of the Law Faculty from 2008 to 2014. That means that he became the head of department before earning his PhD, and the Dean of Faculty 1 year after the PhD. How did this happen in a federal university? Not even a mushroom private university. I have a fair understanding of academics. Such things don't happen. I believe that people who package this CV owe us more explanation of the missing links in the CV. Dayo Osifeso, PhD, Lagos Mainland. So guys, they said this man was the head of Department of Law from 2006 to 2008, and then he became a Dean of the Faculty of Law from 2008 to 2014. That means from 2006 to 2014, he was heading this department and this faculty. At the same time, again, they told us that he got his PhD within this same time that he was occupying this office. And they are saying that it is not possible for this to have happened. So, guys, a whole lot. We have a problem of forgery in this country. You know, recently, Peter Obi came out to demand that these political cabals, they should put forward their CVs for re-verification because we have a lot of forgery out there. Anyway, there are still so many questions to be answered here. And now, this person is saying that they owe us a whole lot of explanation. A whole lot of explanation. He said, I have a fair understanding of the academic. Such things don't happen. I believe the people who package this CV owe us more explanation of the missing links in the CV. I just hope that the Tinubu's government will come to make this clarification. Number one, this man is said to be among those who defended Tinubu in the tribunal, you know, after the last presidential election. And now you can see that his CV has so many gray areas. Don't forget that. The person who posted this said, these are just a few of the gray areas. So expect more controversies coming up, against the newly appointed INEC chairman. So, guys, these people owe us explanation. They should come out and explain to us how these dates are, contradicting, all the information that is out there. It is very, very, very contradicting. Nigerians deserve to know more. And so many people are now, asking why Tinubu, less than 24 hours of Mahmoud handing over to the woman, Mahmoud handed over to the woman less than 24 hours. Tinubu quickly appointed this man. And you can see that he was part of those who defended Tinubu in the last election, as allegedly said. Let's put allegedly. And you can also see that his CV is having some question marks, which Nigerians are still demanding for clarification. Come and clarify us. So everything here we still remain allegedly. We really need clarifications, as to all this. The question remains, is this man chosen to do Tinubu's bidding or to do the bidding of Nigerians? Now, let's quickly take a look at how some Nigerians have reacted to this. This first person here said, with all these flaws, there is no way this man is going to deliver an accurate report and results. APC will never give up their chokehold in this country. We must take it from them. Another person here said he attended Kwara State Polytechnic at the age of 15. Low. In those days, Seth, before you finish primary school, you are almost 17. Then you start talking of secondary school. Another person here reacted and said, all this exercise is a complete waste of time and resources until INEC become fully independent. It makes no sense for a politician, president, to nominate the chairman of electoral body that would conduct elections in which he is a candidate. Nigerians are voicing their minds. And this other person said, if he was actually born in 1967, he should have started primary school in 1973. And after 6 years, he should have entered college in 1979. He should have written his WAEC or WASC in 1985. There is real forgery and falsification of age here. Get his age mates and classmates immediately. This person is saying that there is proof of forgery in this information. That Nigerians should go and look for his classmate if he has classmates and, age mates. So, guys, this other person here said, Tinubu always have people who have discrepancy in their educational system. What you are will always attract your likes to you. That is why his cabinet members are certificate forgers. If Nigerians look into the results of all the politicians, you will know where I am going to. Just like Peter Obi has called for Tinubu, the governors, all of them to put forward their results, their certificates for forgery investigation. So, guys, a whole lot is happening under the Tinubu's government. Now, I'm going to allow you to take a look at some of these videos. Take your time. Watch these videos to the end to hear the opinion of so many people about this newly appointed INEC chairman. Is he there to fulfill the wish of the political class, or is he there to serve Nigerians? Don't forget that Buhari came and said he had no certificate. He said he lost it. He said the military had it, and at the time, they issued him a new one. And under Buhari, we had the Minister of Finance, who also had a forged NYSC certificate. And now we have a minister who is said to have forged his own his school certificate, you know, his university certificate, and a whole lot of forgery. We all know that of Tinubu and Chicago State University, a whole lot of forgery when it comes to the APC leadership. Nigerians are asking how long are we going to dwell in this? We all know that these politicians, they don't bother because they know Nigerians will always be quiet. They know that Nigerians will not revolt. And that is why we see all these things repeating itself. Anyway, guys, let me allow you to take a look at these videos. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
I'd like to ask you this, sir. If we do not have electoral reforms, and we expect Professor Amupitan to perform magic in the 2027 elections, are we not just kidding and joking with ourselves? Because as it is today, I don't think there's anywhere we can have electoral reform before the 2027 elections. And all those things we highlighted in the 2023 elections that need to be made justiciable. So are we not just expecting too much from Professor Amupitan leading up to the 2027 elections?
I think first is that I am an optimist. So I still believe that we would be able to have an electoral reform that reach a logical conclusion. I think what is needed is that Nigerians, not particularly civil society organizations, the media, need to amplify the voice that our National Assembly should do the needful thing so that the reform process is as quickly as possible concluded so that we have an electoral act that would guide the conduct of the next election, you know. So by getting the electoral act to be amended is one leg of the conduct of the election. Getting the credible people, non-partisans, to be at the head of affairs at Inec is also another leg of the process. Without both of these meeting what we call the threshold conditions, then we will not be able to see the conduct of a free, fair, and credible election. So I think that the two have to occur simultaneously. The conclusion of the electoral reform and the appointment of people of impeachable character who would meet the test of impartiality, neutrality, and of course competence in this conduct.
All right, thank you very much. I have two questions for you. We've heard a lot about the competence and the impressive CV of Professor Amupitan, whether it be in the academic circle and also in corporate management. So speaking to his abilities or credentials to be able to lead Inec. In addition to that, because we've seen previous professors occupy that role, Professor Maurice Iwu, Professor Tahiru Jega, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, what are some of the other qualities that Nigeria should be looking out, especially since he'll be appearing before Senate, to pass through Senate's endorsement or passing through? Then beyond that, you've been an advocate of the introduction of technology as part of enhancing the electoral process in Nigeria. What are the areas in the electoral reform you'd like to speak to as it applies to using technology to make the process freer and fairer?
Okay, so let me start with the person who should be at the head of affairs in INEC. It doesn't matter whether he is a professor or a medical doctor or a bureaucrat. What is needed is that we need somebody with competence that has been demonstrated in past engagement. We need somebody that has the courage to stand and say the truth against power. We need somebody who is transparent and not a member of a political party in the night and in the day member of our National Electoral Commission. And so that is very critical in terms of steering the neutrality and impartiality of INEC. And that is why we want an open process of screening candidates who are nominated for the position of national commissioners and, of course, the chairman of Inec. We want people who know them, people who have engaged with them, people who have interacted with them, people who know them, to be able to say, I know this person, I can vote for this, or that I know he belongs to a political association or political party, you know, so that we don't go into a process in which somebody who has been partisan, who had been member of a political party is appointed to do these things, you know. That would compromise the process. Now, to return to the Electoral Act, over the years that I think Nigerians have seen a progressive improvement in the conduct of the elections, particularly from the perspective of the law and the provisions of the law. Now, I think that in the last election, two things have happened. One is that the INEC did not adhere to its own guidelines, and then that when the courts ruled, it simply followed the INEC on the dereliction of responsibility to follow it through its own law. So I think that what they have utilized was some ambiguity in the law. The law is very clear that we needed the transmission of results, and those results must be uploaded on the viewing portal. Now, they didn't do that, and they simply said it was a guideline. Guideline is something that once you agree, once INEC set up its guideline, then this guideline becomes a law for it. So I think that one of the key reforms that we are saying is that a clear, explicit provision be made in the law so that we don't go next time arguing on whether this is guideline or this is a law, you know. So we need a very emphatic statement that mandates INEC compulsorily to transmit the results electronically. I think that's one important demand that we are making.
Okay, sir. But that will be hard to do because you need to pass that through the National Assembly. A National Assembly that is largely tilted to one political party as we speak today because of defections. And the part of it that is interesting is that you need the president to sign it. No president, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I can be an appeals on this matter, but no president, except for Goodluck Jonathan, signs an electoral reform leading up to an election is going to participate in. We saw how President Buhari did it. He told them they didn't write I or T properly, typographical errors, and he kept on sending it back. So, do you think President Tinubu will have the courage to sign that reform? And is the bill now even before the National Assembly for review and consideration in the first place?
Well, I think we need to learn from history. Yes, presidents do not want to sign down to Electoral Act, that they will be part of the elections. But I've seen that in the past that the power of citizens was able to defeat the third-term agenda, you know. So it's the same power. When Nigerians are galvanized, when Nigerians are fully mobilized, I think that they will be able to force the hands of this elected representative to legislate on what they want. And yes, they could legislate, and then the president might refuse to assent. But I think that there would be the same power that Nigerians force their hands would be able to get them to be able to override the presidential assent and be able to pass the law into that. So I think for me, really, what is important is that the Nigerians, and particularly civil society organizations, must go out and mobilize Nigerians to be able to demand from these legislators that this process should be quickly concluded so that we have a law that we all believe would deliver credible elections in this country.
All right, that's what we want, credible elections. But as we wrap up this interview, I'd like to ask you, as we welcome Professor Amupitan as the new INEC chair following clearance by the Senate, what lessons can he learn, whether in the area of successes or shortcomings, from his predecessors? What are some of the lessons and takeaways he can learn from his predecessors?
Well, for me, I think that there seems to be some kind of confusion in the public discourse about the nomination of the INEC chairman. First of all, I think that we need to clear that. What the president has done is actually to nominate and that does not amount to an appointment. And so the Senate has to screen and confirm or reject that nominee. And I think that at this stage, what we would, as civil society, are demanding are two things. The first is that the president needs to be transparent with Nigerians. Can you publish the credentials, the experience, the engagement of this nominee so that we all know him? Yes, we know he had been an academic. Yes, we know he had done one thing or the other. But we want a formal communications to Nigerians. This is the person that are nominating and not just a name. This is the person, he has worked in so place and so forth, you know, this is his performance, you know, so we need that. Secondly, that we need the National Assembly, Senate to do a very transparent process of screening. And that means that it should include invitation for people to send petitions. You know, people who are interested, people who have information, let them send petitions and let them provide guidelines on how those petitions can be submitted, you know, so that citizens who have information can be able to assist the Senate in terms of its determination on the suitability or otherwise of this nominee. I think that we need to,
All right, we're out of time, sir. I'd just like you to just wrap up your thoughts.
I wanted to say that.
Yes, just summarize your thoughts, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm saying that in the past we've known when the card-carrying party members were appointed. And I think that was possible because there was no scrutiny. Nobody knew who they were. Simply the Senate go and take a bow. I think that our democracy has passed that stage, and that we need people to be screened publicly and transparently.
You know that Professor Amupitan has also been into litigation, election litigation. I've seen him in court a few times. He's held some election-related matters in court, defending some people in post-election matters. But the big question here is that there are those who believe that there are elements in Inec who are out to rig elections, and they are being instituted into Inec to rig election for politicians. And this is one of the major reputational problem that Inec has. How can Professor Amupitan, if he's screened, be able to maneuver? You know that sometimes you will go as an Inec National Commissioner, and I know that you had almost about 5 or 6 states under your direct supervision. You have Rex under your supervision and several state secretaries of Inec under administrative secretary. But who do you know is a thief? Who do you know is a robber in terms of election robbery? So it's a very difficult one. If one little person in one Inec office commits a crime, everybody point out to the number one man. This is a major problem. Don't forget, this is a professor that has carried his own reputation over the last few years, becoming a professor since 2018. But now he's going to be dealing with a whole lot of people and carrying the burden of the last person who commits any offense in Inec. How much of a worry does it give you?
Well, I think this outgoing chairman has quite a few credits under his belt. One of the issue of discipline and actually bringing to book people who committed various forms of electoral malpractices, whether they are staff of INEC, which some of them have been dismissed, some of them have been jailed, or there are people who were returning officers, some of which have been jailed, which has never been a case in the past. So at least he would take, credit for that. I don't believe there is a cabal within INEC that are like the election riggers that are there waiting, to throw a spanner in the work of the commission, or certainly in the work of the incoming, chairman. There is no such a thing. And if there is a rumor or any such a thing going on, they will quickly be unraveled. There are law enforcement agencies, the AFCC, when it comes to the issue of financial infractions, and they have the police system. No matter what we say about, efficiency and integrity, but we have all these institutions, and they're increasingly getting better and much more open, and so it can hide under that umbrella. The incoming chairman should just have zero tolerance for election infraction, be it at the political party level or at the people that are working as staff or people who are engaged, as electoral officials who are doing the coalition and doing the returning officer. I had my issues with electoral, returning officers and coalition officers. I thought they messed up the elections, in Nigeria. They are the one mostly responsible for the bad reputation of INEC that Nigerians is going on because of a lot of unavoidable drama when it comes to, coalition and declaration, which are clearly avoidable. And I think he needs to pay attention to this thing and decide a different strategy on how do we manage the election proper, coalition and declaration process. That is a sticky, very, terrible aspect of our electoral process. So if he can just zero in on that and take handle of that, take control over it, I think it will go a long way to succeed.
Before I allow you to go, Dr. Lekki, I know that you're about 8 hours in time difference from us here.
Yes,
if you are to warn Professor, do you think that he's going to have any problem in the screening process?
No, well, like I said, I don't know him. You just never can say never. I mean, we have seen across the globe, anything can just fly up. Nigeria is becoming increasingly probing in looking at people's background, integrity, and stuff like that. From the little I've read, which is just before this announcement and since the announcement was made, at the National, Economic Council, level, it looks like a very good, man. And some of us who are still active and particularly at the CSO level will be very happy to work with him. And so I don't see any problem. I think he will say through very quickly. The president has done the right thing very quickly without wasting time in appointing, in nominating him, and it's been cleared. And so I see a smooth sailing clearance for him, and I wish him all the very best, and the commission all the very best too.
Just quickly, in 30 seconds, if there's something that you need to warn him, now you're a man of wisdom, not only of age, but of knowledge and experience in Inec. You know that seat way too well. If there's something you want to warn him about, what would that be?
He should take effective control of the election result management process. Be very clear about the nomination of who are the returning officers and the people who are declaring, the election. He should take control of that personally and not delegate it, and not leave it to the, to the whims and caprices of university professors or chancellors whom they nominate. We've had bad cases of that, and I've shared with you on your platform, WhatsApp about a paper that I gave on this very issue for detail about how this is a critical issue. He needs to take control of that, and then he will succeed.
Is he the right person to help restore confidence in Nigeria's electoral system?
Thank you for having me, and to answer your question, I have no idea on that, because he's somebody who is really not known in the system, and he has impeccable resume, but
but not election related.
Not election related, but right. Nigerians would have hoped that somebody from inside Inec would have been nominated, but still, the fact that somebody was nominated promptly is a good sign, and I hope that he lives up to expectations. But the most important thing is this serious damage, self-inflicted damage at INEC. If you remember last election, where the word technical glitch came up when billions of naira was spent on technology and result coalitions and other things at the last minute when it came to the presidential election. What we got was a technical glitch, which means whatever it meant has damaged the reputation of INEC, no doubt.
And instructively, that technical glitch was never explained to the Nigerian people.
So he needs to take complete control of the election management system. But the problem is he doesn't have the pedigree as well as the experience needed for that purpose. Secondly, that self-inflicted damage or reputational damage has to be fixed right away, because Nigerians apparently do not trust the system. Nigerians have been shortchanged because of the glitch. And as you said, the glitch itself was up to now not explained. So let him come out and hopefully get the answers and explain to Nigerians what technical glitch means, and that we hope that it's not going to be repeated again, so that people will trust the system, people will trust, technology is there. Billions were spent, so I don't understand why we are going through all this all the time. We prefer manual, where things can be compromised.
I think a lot of concern, Mr. Irebu, is over the fact that he's going to have to be learning on the job, and he's going to have to be learning very quickly, even if his integrity is sound. And people have asked whether the president should have held consultations with sort of various Nigerian groups in order to resolve what is seen as a very real, deeply rooted crisis in this country's electoral system, and so much public skepticism about it, as some NGOs believe. Or is it enough for him to have simply met the Council of State and presented his nominee to them?
Thank you, Charles. My view is cautious optimism. I have no special expectation from a process that is already flawed. First, the person who is appointed the new INEC chair has never accepted that the election that brought him to power was flawed. That's where it begins. In 2007, when President Yaradua was elected, he boldly told the world that yes, the election that brought him to power was flawed, and that he would commence the process of reforms, and he did. He set up the Ways Committee and all of that, and that is where what got us to even having some sense of trust in INEC. So the process that has brought this new INEC chair, for me, is already flawed, because even at the Council of State meeting, how many of the former heads of states were there? So it is the umpire appointed by his boss. I don't expect any miracle from the current nominee, chairman of INEC. I don't expect anything special, but I hope he proves us wrong. I hope that it will not be another opportunity to bury one's acclaimed integrity and all of it, because INEC seems to be a place where no matter how impeccable your resume may be, when you get in there, you get smeared and you lose a sense of pride and self-preservation. Because Mahmoud had an opportunity to write his name in gold, but today we remember him as someone who ruined an opportunity for the Nigerian people to reclaim their nation. Because the 2023 election, that glitch that you talked about remains what a lot of Nigerians seem to have given up, if you ask me.
It remains a stain on his reputation.
Yeah, terrible stain. Right. So
okay.
I hope that this incoming INEC chair will have something, to be positive, to be remembered for. I hope that he has value for his own name and his own family.
Well,
I have
you're an obedient, and I have to say that the obedient movement issued a statement yesterday pledging, theoretically, pledging their support for him and saying that they are willing to give him a shot. Coming to you, Dr. Raimi in the off-site studio, thank you for joining us. He is, of course, both a kinsman, and this has been emphasized quite a bit, and long-time legal counsel for one of Nigeria's most vocal opposition politicians, Senator Dino Melaye. I mean, what does that tell you about who Professor Amupitan is and whether he'll inspire trust across the political divide and amongst the Nigerian people, which is obviously essential?
Okay, thank you, Charles, for having me. First of all, let me express my condolences over the untimely death of a colleague, your colleague, that we lost. It's a painful loss, and I'm expressing the deepest condolences to the chairman of Arise and This Day Group, as well as management and staff of this great organization. I pray that may God forgive our shortcoming, accept her to eternal kingdom, and as well as give the family and all of us the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. Be that as it may, Charles. Of course, the new INEC chairman that has been nominated, which will undergo screening by the relevant processes, that is State Security Service, as well as the Senate National Assembly confirmation, is relatively unknown to many, as it has been argued. However, his impeccable resume that have been provided shows that he has gained a lot of leadership quality during his career. A 58-year-old professor of law from Kogi State, North Central. I think he's well equipped if he should focus on the task ahead. What is it that I'm expecting of him? Of course, in setting agenda. Number one, I will expect that the new INEC chairman, if he's cleared and eventually approved by the National Assembly, the Senate, should look at the progress that his predecessor recorded while in office, so that he can learn lessons from it. Secondly, you should look at the gaps. Of course, we have talked about the fact that the former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Jega, introduced a number of technological innovation into the system. Although by 2023 there was a technical glitch, which is a gap that he must now look at how to prevent it from future occurrence. Secondly, he must not allow politicians that we have to tarnish his image that he has built up over the years. And this is very possible if he remains focused. Thirdly, he must work with stakeholders in order to ensure that the expectations of Nigerians are met through this electoral activity. Lastly, I would suggest that he should look at necessary amendments that are very essential in order to strengthen the quality of our electoral system to deliver free, fair, credible election. I believe that giving him all the support, engaging in collaboration with security agencies, with civil society organizations, with political parties, I believe we should give him the privilege and the support he requires to succeed. That is my take.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Raimi. Let me come to you, Abba Kaka. I know you said, and everybody here, in fact, has said that they don't know him, and in fact, none of us know him. But you are, of course, a seasoned analyst and someone who, in that capacity, has assessed many elections in this country in which many Nigerians have been disappointed by that vital human element in the conduct of those elections. Given all of that, how much of a rare moment of hope is this for you? Because we've got to keep hope alive, don't we?
Yeah, indeed. Without keeping hope alive, we're in trouble. Anyway, his background is purely law and some part of management. And I think I read an article where they said he was also a lead counsel for APC in the case?
Well, that has not been confirmed.
Okay.
Because we actually did a bit of checking today. I was in touch with colleagues at Arise and colleagues at, in fact, our legal team at This Day newspaper. And his name does not appear on the list that was initially submitted. Now, I wasn't in court, so I don't know whether he actually turned up in court as sort of an adjunct counsel, but his name is most certainly not on the list.
Okay.
That was
knowing that now,
right?
At least is somebody that the president nominated who has no baggage, that is known, who has no integrity issues, and he seems to be, a thoroughbred, professor, and his career so far showed that he is somebody who has lived up to expectations, and we hope that he carries that into Inec, because the whole 200 plus Nigerians' eyes are going to be on him, and so we hope and we pray that he actually takes the bull by the horn and then does the right thing and corrects the mess in the Inec. Especially the reputation has to be fixed.
Yeah, indeed. And just a final question on this, so we can move on. Mazi Rebu, of course, it is important to remember that how a president will be remembered after office is determined by the choices and decisions he makes while serving. And this is one of the really big ones, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. And like I said, I hope that, having been appointed now, that of course, incoming, I wouldn't expect that the Red Chamber will not confirm him. He will surely be confirmed. But this is more like saying, you have made a good name for yourself.
Right.
Don't ruin it. Be that alternative that Nigerians are looking for to revamp our belief in the system, because Nigerians seem to have given up in the process that INEC gives, and reasons that are never explained out eventually. Well, so the president has done his bit, but I said the process wasn't convincing enough for me. I thought that he would have at least ensured that former heads of states and all of that are still alive will be present at such.
Well, you can't put a gun to their heads.
Yeah, but then if he makes it an important, national issue, Charles, if he makes it an important national issue,
well, he did make it an important national issue. That's why he called the Council of State.
Well,
you can't sort of.
That steps could have been taken to ensure that they came there.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think that's a particular issue. With all due respect to you, well, let's turn to the continued incarceration of the IPOB leader nnamdi Kanu, who's been held in detention for more than a decade now on charges of treasonable felony, despite various court orders and appeals for his release, and the fact that till date he stands unconvicted. Dr. Raimi, are you a champion of justice? Do you see that as travesty and a violation of his constitutional and human rights?
Just as you know, and as everybody knows, I'm a champion of justice. In everything I have done in professional life, which I'm still doing in politics, the goal is how to achieve the best for everybody: fairness, justice, equity, transparency, accountability, and hard work, smart work, and contributions. And my integrity, reputation are my key watchword. However, on this very topic, I believe that we have not exhausted diplomacy, lobby, bargain, as it were. I believe we should not eat up the polity. Two things are the issues in this Nnamdi Kanu's case. Number one is that there's a legal angle, as you are aware, as all the entire country and the world is aware. He's already been prosecuted. The last milestone that has been attained on this case was the no-case submission that was submitted by his defense counsel, which the court had ruled that there is a case for him to answer. So while this is ongoing, I believe that the second leg can also continue to be explored, which is the political resolution. I believe strongly, Charles, that if the president can forgive or pardon the dead, just like it happened in the last 1 or 2 days, even the dead of about since 1913, 1914, some 1960, 1970, all across. If the president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, can forgive or pardon the dead, he can also pardon the living. But for this to happen, I believe that there's a lot. First of all, there must be remorsefulness on the part of those who either have been accused or alleged or who have committed a crime. Secondly, there's also need to not to ethnicize the issue. I want the governors in the southeast, the governors, the political leaders in the southeast, to lobby other people across Nigeria. Work with the north, work with the south, to see an amicable way of finishing this matter. Okay. So while I'm not opposed to so what is called, I believe that we must be very careful not to heat up the polity and not for this matter to be taken into advantage by other people, other than focusing on the resolution of the problem.
Right, okay, well, thank you. And let me just point out, as a matter of correction to what you said, he has not been found guilty of any crime.
No, I never said so.
No, you said somebody who commits a crime.
Well, I said he's
presumed innocent. He's presumed innocent until he's found guilty.
Yeah,
Let me turn to you, Abba Kaka. What is your reaction to the call for action that's been made by the human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, challenging Nigerians across ethnic lines to join him in a peaceful march to Aso Rock to demand Mr. Kanu's release?
Peaceful march in our constitution is guaranteed, and therefore all Nigerians are free to march peacefully to either the Aso Rock or National Assembly or anywhere else.
But I mean, do you see many people hearkening to Mr. Showore's call to march with him to Aso Rock on October the 20th to demand Mr. Kanu's release, or will many people would be kind of conflicted over doing that?
Well, we have to wait and see the real answer. But this issue of Nnamdi Kanu has become more political than legal or criminal, actually. As you said, 10 years, we have problem with our judicial system. Somebody, you're not found guilty until they pronounce you guilty. So you're innocent until you're found guilty. But 10 years down the road is enough time to finish any investigation. It's more than enough time to... But what I see is some of the political leaders and elites in the Southeast actually are not interested in him coming out. Frankly speaking. Even in the last election, there was this allegation that if you allow him to come out, a certain political party may not win the election. And so that political aspect is, brewing a lot of conflict in between. And now we are also moving towards another election in 2027. So, but 10 years down the road, we go to, courts to get justice. You understand? And you keep somebody for 10 years and then maybe at the end of the day and say he's not guilty. There's no justice in that aspect if it happens like that. But, but the president's hands probably are tight. And this is a judicial matter, and so we should not be blaming the president. It's not the president that kept him there. It was the system that kept him before even Bola Tinubu became the president of Nigeria. But justice needs to be served. Not only needs to be served, but needs to be seen to be served.
Right. And in fairness to the president, before you can exercise the prerogative of mercy, a decision has to be made in court.
By the courts.
But nevertheless, as you correctly pointed out, Abba Kaka, and turning to you, Mr. Irebu, there is a big political element in all of this, and a lot of people have been trying so hard to get President Tinubu's attention on this matter. How much is this a sad comment on the world in which we live now, that what matters is not so much the constitutional rights of citizens, but getting President Tinubu's ear is what matters?
Charles, first I want to start off with commending my brother, Sowore. I want to commend him because indeed he has shown that an injury to one should be an injury to all, and that's how to build a nation. I want to also call the attention of Nigerians that it is time to end the civil war against the Nigerian people from the southeastern Nigeria, because that's what it appears to be. What is Nnamdi Kanu's crime? That's what we'll first of all look at. Oh, my people have been treated badly in this country, and if you won't treat us right, then please allow us to exit. That became a crime. Before now, APC came to power in 2015. 2012, this young man was online, engaging the system. There's also a video of him before 2012 that, he was championing the cause of the Nigerian nation. It was the failure of the state now that provoked the direction he has taken. And then the state fell for it. President Muhammadu Buhari fell for it out of whatever it is that led to that. That in 2016, Nnamdi Kanu was arrested and incarcerated and all of that. Of course, the court granted him bail. Let it be on record. Because when we say, legal angle and all of that, the court granted him bail. And he had a date in court to return. And then while that date was about 2-3 weeks ahead, the military invaded his community, invaded his father's compound, killed at least nothing less than 26 people, including the dogs in his compound and all of that. Now, his crime became running away from a spot where he could have been killed. So Nigerians should please understand this narrative, why we indeed should come out and harmonize our togetherness.
Because that's what this is about. One of the people who's planning to march on that day.
Yes, I definitely will be part of the march. Right. Okay. Not because I'm from the southeast, but because equity, justice, and fairness must be on the table for all if we want to build an egalitarian nation. Right. This is not how to build a nation. Now, the Kanu's incarceration is a dent in the growth of the Nigerian nation.
I think those are important points that you make, particularly how he came to run away and then be sort of brought back again.
Yes, kidnapped and brought back
So let's move on. You're watching Arise Prime Time. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our analysis of the week that was. Stay with us. Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Aniagolu. And still with me as we continue our assessment of the week that was, our guest commentators, the public policy analyst and development expert, Abba Kaka, the public affairs analyst, Mazi Nnamdi Dixon Irebu, who is both a member of the People's Democratic Party and an obedient, and from our offsite studio, the development expert and business and economic analyst, Dr. Taufik Rahimi, who is a member of the ruling APC party. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for staying with us. Now let's turn to the NESG's Economic Summit, which took place this week in Abuja. Its aim was to come up with policies and suggested actions that the organizers hope will result in real, sustainable and inclusive economic growth for Nigeria. And central to what it came up with was a warning that this country's fiscal position remains precarious and that debt service now absorbs all government revenue. It said that Nigeria's debt service to
GDP.
Revenue ratio was above 100% in 2024, meaning that the federal government spent all of its revenue on debt payment. And let me come to you in the offsite studio, Dr. Raimi, because you are an economist. You're also a member of the ruling party. Are you alarmed by that?
Thank you, Charles. The Nigeria Economic Summit Group Summit that took place actually came up with 3 contests. One, they acknowledge the courageous step that the president has taken in terms of revamping our economy. 2, they also identify the gap that had to be filled. As regards the debt servicing, from the report that I have, from the report that the president and the economic team has published, not just now, since the beginning of this year, it was 65% that was being used to service our debt as at the end of 2024. It was not 100. I think we can fast check this.
Well,
but that is what has been published.
From what we've seen, it's 116% now.
Anyway, like I said, that is the report that I have, both from the finance minister, Mr. Wale Edun, as well as the special advisor to the president on economy, Dr. Tokwe Faswa. We can fast track that. In fact, it's been compared that before the president came, we were using 97% of our revenue to service debt. So I do not think it is over 100. In fact, it's believed that by this year, that 65% may even slow down below that. That is why we are now having more revenue. More revenue is now going into states across Nigeria, as you are aware. Most of the state government that were having a unit before are now having like ×3. So I believe that these statistics can be reconciled if that is what NSG has published.
Well,
however,
I mean, can I make a very quick point there? Because, I mean, it really ought to strike you, yourself, as an economist, beyond the fact that you are in the ruling party and would want to defend them, that the country, with all the revenue you say the country is awash with, keeps going back to borrow more money.
Yes, the reason why that is that if you look at our reserve, our foreign reserve, we're having about $45 billion. I've been listening to argument that if we are making so much revenue and the government is also saying we have so much in the reserve, why are we borrowing? It is cheaper to borrow if the cost of borrowing is lower. That is one. 2, the foreign reserve that we have, which is building up, is like a collateral that encourages any, whether local or foreign, creditor to borrow us. It's like we use it to hedge our sovereignty. So, and as regards said, as the revenue is also increasing, revenue not only from oil, also revenue from a non-oil base, which the president in August said we have even attained what has been budgeted or projected for the year if compared to the last year. So I think some of these statistics are good to be reconciled. However, I believe that the NESG recognize that both steps have been taken. The reform to remove fuel subsidy, the reform to unify exchange rate, the reform on taxation were all acknowledged. But every one of us, including us, I'm not just trying to defend our president or his administration. We know that it is still work in progress. That is why I've always said that there will be 4 phases for full economic recovery in Nigeria. Right. Number 1, it is economic stability, consolidation, growth, and development. Okay. I believe we're on course. We will see more gains.
We have to move on because the other thing that emerged from that summit is that though on paper, Nigeria's economy may be said to be turning the corner on paper, but Nigerian citizens are still trapped in hardship because income gaps remain, and that erases macroeconomic progress and neutralizes cooling inflation. In those circumstances, Abakaka, do you see the bright light at the end of the tunnel that the president insists is there?
Let me put it this way. First, the bold and the tough decisions were taken by the president 2 years ago. And if you remember, the Emir of Kanu, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, said that if any politician, that was before the election, if any politician comes and tells you that you're not going to have a problem or you're not going to suffer, he either doesn't know what he's talking about or he's lying to you. And the tough decisions were taken, and the World Bank is saying that we have, moved on. But as you pointed out rightly,
but they're also saying that we've moved more people into poverty.
Exactly.
Right.
So that aspect is what concerns me, this humanitarian issue, because the poverty and insecurity are running like wildfire right now. Let's talk about the conditional cash transfer issue. Remember the case of this, the humanitarian minister that was fired at that time was, during the Buhari regimes, for 7 years, it took them 7 years to reach 2 million homes. And now, Wale Edun is telling us that they are reaching 10 or 14 million homes in 2 years. That is something that really needs to be looked at. Right. Because what is happening is this cash conditional transfer itself There are so many homes and so many Nigerians. You know, some people even said, let them give us the record of which homes they are reaching, actually, because it's too much to say. But even the lady that broke the story, if you remember at that time, you know, who actually digitized the program itself and got the service providers and opened the bank accounts and things, you know, a whistleblower is actually protected by the Constitution. So it's somebody like that that is needed at that ministry to take over. But the poverty level and the insecurity are those two areas that are very concerning to me.
Okay, well, let me come to you, Mazu Irebu, because according to Business Day newspaper, which is a quite reliable newspaper, up till now, just over 5 million of the 15 million targeted households had benefited from cash transfers. So there's a deficit of 10 million people. So basically very little welfare improvements at the lowest level. And at the middle and lower middle levels, wages have remained the same. So whilst, I mean, people's, you know, cost of fuel has all gone up, wages have remained constant, which is why the majority of Nigerians are not heaving a sigh of relief.
Yes, of course. Everything about the Reunion Party, as I would always refer to them, because there's nothing positive that has come from APC since 2015. Everything about them is all lies and lies. If you recall, even before Tinubu came, the Buhari's own was during COVID. We were told they were feeding our children while the children were at home and all of that. So it's all lies. The numbers, so-called, being reeled out only favors the ruling class. The economy of Nigeria that is said to be revamping or has revamped and all of that only favors the ruling class, because the president will tell you that we are off the woods now and that we're up to go, you know, that is all cruise to the next phase of our development and all of that. But honestly, the economy is in shambles, really. And there's no end in sight.
Well, when they keep talking about that point repeatedly and strident.
Because that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay. Well,
if you say your reforms, the bold steps you took, right, and the people that you're leading are not, you know, enjoying those so-called policies and all of that, why are they always telling us, oh, they took a bold step to end subsidy, taxation is every day, you know, being rejigged and all of that and all that. The people of Nigeria cannot in any way say that they have enjoyed any positive.
I've got to move on. Let me come to you, Dr. Raimi, so we can round off this part of the program. To sum it up, the Tinubu reforms are said to be bold, and there appears to be consensus that at least when it comes to the economic indicators, they appear to be pointing in the right direction for the first time in many years. But clearly, their positive effects are yet to be felt by ordinary Nigerians who are still mired in a cost of living crisis, and household living conditions seem to be worsening. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, in order to, you know, reduce poverty and increase the living standard of our people, the president is concerned, we are all concerned, and what I will only add here is that we need to strengthen our fight against insecurity, because this is actually one of the causes of why we are still having food inflation, and you know, so if we are able to solve our food crisis, I believe the life of our people will be better. Secondly, I also want, I've also you know, argue or ascertain that the kind of trickle-down economy that we're expecting, which is the desire of all of us, cannot happen if only we keep focusing on the president. What about the states? We have 36 states and the federal capital. What are our governors doing? We must make them accountable. Also, the 774 local government chairmen and their council had to work together in a way to bring succor to the people, because our people are at that level. So it's an all-inclusive effort which we are pursuing. And I believe that just like NEFOND is working, just like other program of government, even the cash transfer that we are talking about, it's been rejuvenated. I believe definitely in the next couple of months, this trickle-down economy will be attained. Now that we have economic stability.
We're watching out to see what happens in the next couple of months, but I've got to move on. And let's go international and turn to Gaza now, where a ceasefire is now in effect. As of midday local time today, the Israeli military had pulled back to what is known as the Yellow Line, the first of several withdrawals it'll make as the peace deal progresses, if it progresses. And that's a big if, isn't it? Let me put that question to you, Abba Kaka.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I'm glad and happy that the bloodshed and the genocide is about to end. And this is a diplomatic triumph for President Trump. Number three, is actually a diplomatic and military defeat for Netanyahu and the state of Israel, because Netanyahu, from all indication, never wanted peace. He chose war, but in this case, it was forced on him. And what actually changed the equation was the savage bombing of Qatar, when the negotiators were, you know, you're trying to bomb your own negotiators. It is clearly an indication that you're not interested in peace. That's what happened. So when that happened, the 8 Arab states started looking elsewhere for security guarantees, because they were looking at Russia as well as looking at China. And then the worst part was they threatened to leave the Abraham Accords. And from there on, President Trump, knowing who he is, he's a transactional president, and therefore he was even transacting with Hamas without the knowledge of the state of Israel and Netanyahu at one point, trying to secure Americans to be released. So the president, President Trump, in this case, forced this deal on the Israelis, and it's good that he did that. Remember, he even took the telephone and asked Netanyahu to apologize to the Qataris at one point. And so when billions of dollars are at stake, President Trump acts. And that is what happened.
Okay. Mazi Irebu, Israel, of course, still controls just over half the territory of Gaza. Even though it's pulled back, it still controls about 40%. Nevertheless, the pullout has prompted large numbers of Palestinians in long queues of people and traffic to start heading north to what's left of their homes, amid this sense of dread of what might happen if the Israelis come back and the war resumes. Are you optimistic?
Yes, I am. I'm very optimistic that peace at last. And, of course, rebuilding will commence eventually as the progress continues. Let's not forget how this war started. I hope my brother Kaka would not find this offensive. These people were provoked without any. They didn't attack first, right? The 7th of October, 2023, right? That's when this unfortunate thing that has led to Hamas being in ruins now, Gaza being in ruins now, started. 1,200. Is it 1,200 or thereabout of Israelis that were slaughtered, on that very day, that very unfortunate incident. So if a leader decides now to go the way Benjamin Netanyahu went, while I'm not excited about all that has happened, but it was provoked, right? And Trump has come now, and you would give it to him. He wants to end it, and indeed, the process is on. So you must commend him. Blessed are the peacemakers. No matter how you may not like Trump, you must give it to him that he is a very proactive leader, and this is what he has taken in the direction. So Gaza.
You kind of made that point. It's like, okay, I have to move on. I don't mean to be rude, but I really have to move on because we've got about 3 minutes left. And Dr. Raimi, there is an international task force to monitor the ceasefire. The Americans are moving 200 troops to Israel, and the task force will include troops from regional countries, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and they'll be the ones on the ground in Gaza. The Americans said no US forces would enter Gaza, and subsequently an international stabilization force would be created to work with the Palestinians to create police. But that has not been agreed yet. So there will be a security vacuum in the meantime in those areas that the Israelis are pulling out of, and it looks like it'll be Hamas who will fill that gap and maintain law and order. And images of them armed and on the streets will be a reminder, won't it, to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his critics that he has not destroyed the Hamas movement.
My quick take is that, first of all, let me congratulate the Palestinians, let me congratulate Israel, let me congratulate US, let me congratulate the entire world. Because this victory that we are currently experiencing between Israel and Gaza is not just a victory just for the two countries. You can see the impact it has had over the entire world in the last 2 years. So I want to agree with an opinion that says the costliest peace is still cheaper than the cheapest war. So whatever could be done to ensuring that both countries or both parties stick to the agreement should be done. And the world should not witness this kind of senseless killing that has led to extermination of various thousands of lives, especially in Palestine and also in Israel. So we must adopt lessons from here. Even we bringing it back to Nigeria, we should avoid war, quarrel.
Now, many Nigerians have reacted, like this first person here said, when disjointed lines continue to appear on a CV, dig deep for something doubtful, questionable, unexplainable, messy, perhaps criminal, fraudulent, premium times. Sahara reporters, to please do the needful by digging further. I smell stinky rats. This person is saying that, hey, the disjointment in this CV, something is smelling. I mean, something is really smelling. And this other person here said, we need to demand for clarification on this issue. How long are we going to remain in bondage? Another person said the same rubber stamp Senate will pass it without hesitation. This other person said this has to be verified too. That is the one that is saying that the man is also part of Tinubu's team for the election tribunal that we had after the election. And this person said Tinubu always have people who have discrepancy in his academic system, in their educational system. What you are will always attract your likes to you. That's why his cabinet members are certificate forgers. If Nigerians look into these results, if Nigerians look into these results of the results of the politicians, you will know where I'm going to. That means if you look into, results of these politicians, hey, it will shock you the level of fraud in them. And this other person said, if he was actually born in 1967, he should have started primary school in 1973, and after 6 years, he should have entered college in 1979. He should have written his WAEC in 1985. There is real forgery and falsification of age here. Get his age mates and classmates immediately. Go and find who were his classmates. So guys, this person here say, why is it that everything that comes from the APC government can't be trusted? Always Tinubu, anyhow, Tinubu lacks the integrity to be trusted. Professor George Amupitan was selected through a political means, says Bayo Ononuga. Yet those are political means can't be released to the media. They're hiding everything. Everything is hidden. Everything is hidden. Now, this person say in less than 24 hours, he got busted. This person say, I was the one that conferred a professorship certificate to him, to the professor. Anyway, that one is just a joke. This person say, all this exercise is a complete waste of time for resources until INEC becomes fully independent. It makes no sense for a politician, president, to nominate the chairman of an electoral body that would conduct elections in which he is a candidate. It makes no sense. Which way in Nigeria? And this person said, the man who leads while the lesser ones follow. Corrupt. Tinubu is the most corrupt, among the most corrupt people in the world. And this person said, the way you grandstand on ignorance amuse me. Secondary school used to be 5 years. No one could enter at 10 and finish at 15. Okay. So one could enter at 10 and finish at 15. Law used to be 3 for DE and UMTM and UTME respectively. One doesn't need a PhD to lecture or head a department. Shoyinka didn't have a PhD. Okay. Fake statistics, fake APC, and fake news at 5 and 6. Wahala deo, nobody with straight and pure record. Nobody. A typical cartel. Get someone with the heaviest baggage and use it as a leash on him to do your bidding. Reminds me of the judge that Horace's family was using to do their dirty jobs. And this person said, from looks, this one no concern Senator, now stamping straight. Only God knows where all these people came from. One is already professor by profession. So our INEC chairman might also own a PhD by profession. No check him. And this person here said, Tinubu and his thieves in Nigerian government, a fake Yoruba professor without a certificate. INEC is purely evil. So guys, these are some of the reactions from Nigerians, I don't know what you make of this. Nigerians are already pointing their radar on the CV of the newly appointed INEC chairman, and this is going to dent his name if actually anything is discovered to have gone wrong with this CV. I mean, it's going to dent his name. You can imagine this man has taken time to build his name. Even if there is any forgery or anything, it has been concealed all this while, not until Tinubu now selected him. Working with the APC will not, if you have conscience, you will not want to mingle with the APC, because anything they tell Nigerians now, Nigerians don't believe. It's just look at the data. Recently, when they give you unemployment data, people question it. They give you revenue data, Nigerians are questioning. Nigerians have zero trust for this government. So mingling yourself with them will rather dirty you than clean you. Anyway, I don't know what you make of all this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.